Empire.
Welcome to Inside the Cap. I'm your host, Joel Corey. You can find me on Twitter at CoreyJoel. That's CorryJoel. You can also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agents Take, on NFL salary cap and contract matters. Today we're going to take a look at the 2020 quarterback draft class that's up for contract extensions and how the top of the quarterback market could change because of these guys. It's going to be devoted to three players: 2020 second round pick Jalen Hurts, 2020 first overall pick Joe Burrow, and 2020 top 5 pick Justin Herbert. This discussion will not include 2020 first round pick Tua Tagovailoa for one reason: the concussion issues take him out of consideration most likely for an extension. Dolphins have to decide whether they're going to exercise his fifth-year option of $23.171 million, which will be fully guaranteed by May 2nd. Presumably they will, but because of the concussion issue, don't think that an extension is realistic for him this year. So let's start with the player I think will get the first extension, and that's Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. What a difference a year makes for Hurts, because he was a huge question mark after the Eagles lost in the playoffs to the Buccaneers in a wild card game in the 2021 season playoffs. He took a quantum leap forward this year to erase any questions whether he could be the quarterback for the future for the Philadelphia Eagles. This year was first-time Pro Bowler, second-team All-Pro, runner-up for Associated Press's NFL MVP, established himself as one of the top dual-threat quarterbacks in the league. Heading into Super Bowl week, Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie confirmed that Hurts was the guy, said he had nothing to prove to be viewed as a long-term answer at quarterback. Quote-unquote, he's just what we're looking for. Then he goes out and plays a phenomenal Super Bowl. Eagles didn't win. Obviously, they lost 38-35, but he was the best player on the field in the Super Bowl. Head coach Nick Sirianni said that it was the best game that he's seen him play. Completed 27 to 38 passes for 304 yards, threw a touchdown pass, 15 carries for 70 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Only blemish was his fumble, which led to a recovery and touchdown by Nick Bolton, and he shook it off, came right back down, boom, business as usual. Howie Roseman doesn't have any questions either, because he's not going to be gun shy because of what happened with his predecessor, Carson Wentz. In 2019, they gave Carson Wentz an extension, and by 2021, they put him on a chopping block. And that led to at the time, the largest amount of dead money for an individual player, which is a salary cap charge for a player no longer on the roster. Wentz played for the Colts in 2021, but his dead money was $33,820,611. But that's not going to deter Howie Roseman, the general manager and president, from extending Hurts, because he looks at the players as individuals, not the circumstances. So Hurts is scheduled this year to make $4.304 million. His salary got increased up to what's the second round tender under the CBA's proven performance escalator by making the Pro Bowl this year for second through seventh round picks. $100,000 of that $4.304 million is a workout bonus, so his base salary is $4.204 million. He's got a cap number of $4,789,486. Now, in terms of negotiation, to me, this is just the bare minimum that you got to treat Jalen Hurts at least the same as you did Carson Wentz, and probably better. Actually, you need to treat him better. Not probably. You need to treat him better than you did Wentz, because he's done more than Wentz at the same time frame in their careers. Yet Wentz looked like he was headed to the MVP, just like Hurts was, because before he hurt his shoulder, missed 2 games, and that opened the door for Patrick Mahomes to take the MVP. The Eagles are 14-1 with him starting in the regular season. Wentz looked like he was headed to the MVP in 2017. Tears up his knee. Eagles go on to win a Super Bowl with his backup, Nick Foles. Then Hurts rebounds, plays fairly well, has a season cut short again in 2018 because of a stress fracture in his back. But that didn't stop the Eagles from giving Wentz a 4-year extension averaging $32 million per year in June 2019. Had a then NFL record, $107,870,683 of guarantees. $66 million was fully guaranteed at signing. The $128 million extension was worth up to $144 million through salary escalators. It was after year 3. Only difference is that Hurts wasn't in his contract, and Wentz wasn't in his contract year. Since he was a first-round pick, the second overall pick, there's a 5th-year option, so he had 2 years left on his rookie contract. The deal made Wentz the 4th highest paid player in the league. Now, if you put Hurts same point in the NFL pay scale as you did Wentz, you're slotting him in right between the Deshaun Watson fully guaranteed contract for $230 million, which averages $46 million per year, and Kyler Murray, who's at $46.1 million. Fully guaranteed contract, I don't think that's going to factor in the equation for Hurts. If it does, and that's what he's looking at, he's going to be playing on that, playing out his rookie contract. Now, you really shouldn't be thinking about putting him in Kyler Murray territory to me, because he's done more than Kyler Murray. I know Murray was the first overall pick in 2019. Good for him. Signed a 5-year extension for $230.5 million. Right when training camp was starting last year. $103.3 million was fully guaranteed at signing. There's what I call 160 in total guarantees, overall guarantees. There's an additional $29.5 million that does become guaranteed later in the deal, is not injury guaranteed to start with. I don't call it $189.5 million in guarantees. I call it 160. He's got to get to basically that year for that to kick in. It's unsecured money now that can become secured, not what I'm including in the guarantees. Now, Murray's been in one playoff game. He's terrible in it too. Rams probably could have given him a game ball for how he performed in a 34-7 loss in last year's playoffs. Never been a legitimate MVP candidate. Never been a second-team All-Pro like Hurts is this year. So if Howie Roseman came in and that first offer was in the low 40s, like Dak Prescott's at $40 million per year, Matthew Stafford's at $40 million per year, you come in there. If I'm the agent, I'm not. He's represented by Nicole Lynn. Then I'd probably send you back a first counter offer at $55 million per year on a 3-year extension, because I found your initial offer objectionable. If you come in with what I call a reasonable first offer, you don't get something like that. But we'll see where this thing comes in. Now, it's not really Wentz, which you could look at, which would be more analogous to Hurts, in my opinion, on what his floor ought to be, his realistic salary floor should be. The guy who was taking one spot above Wentz in 2016, who also got an extension after his third year, Jared Goff. That's what I would look more for to the situation, which is more comparable to Hurts's. Now, Jared Goff in 2018, his third year, was in the MVP conversation, then had a late season slump, and this is where they differ. He had a horrible Super Bowl. Rams had a hard time scoring when they lost to the Patriots, but between the late season slump and Super Bowl performance, Rams still, right before the regular season, gave him an extension which tied him with Aaron Rodgers as the second highest paid player in the league at $33.5 million per year. It was a 4-year, $134 million extension worth up to as much as $147.95 million with incentives and salary escalators. It established a new record for overall guarantees in NFL contracts of $110,042,682. Now, if you look at the current NFL salary hierarchy, second highest paid player is Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson's at $49 million per year on the 5-year extension he signed with the Broncos right before the regular season started, 2022 regular season started. To me, he's second in the guarantee categories. He's got $165 million in total guarantees and $124 million fully guaranteed at signing. So that's where you need to go. To me, that's the floor. That's the floor, the realistic floor to me. You don't start getting my attention for something that I'm like, okay, we can get into the ballpark, we can work on something and get something done until you hit Russell Wilson. I don't know if that's where it's going to end up. That's just me. If I represent him, that's baseline. I'd be looking to do a 4-year extension. Ideally 3. I don't think you can get a 3. A 4-year extension. So you're already under contract for 2023. So it's 2024, 25, 26, and 27. I don't want to do 4. Salary cap is set to skyrocket or explode with the infusion of money from the TV deal, new TV deals. That was $113 billion over 11 years. All these TV deals. The money from the keeping the bottom falling out of the cap in the pandemic year should pretty much all be paid back. So you're going to see tremendous salary cap growth. I don't want to do something extremely long, so I want to take advantage of that. One way where Philadelphia can benefit is Hurts hasn't made any real NFL money from his contract. So when you've got a guy who's a second-round pick, you sometimes can take advantage of that. Didn't have the big signing bonus like a first-round pick. So you throw something out there and maybe they bite on it. But to me, got to get at least to that Wilson level. And I'm not even factoring in cap inflation. The cap went up almost 8%, 7.79%. It was $208.2 million. Now it's going to be $224.8. I would be looking to make Hurts the highest paid player in the league. That's currently Aaron Rodgers. He's the first $50 million per year player. Signed a 3-year, $150.815 million deal last year. It has two below market years, 2025 and 2026. So the bonus proration can be stretched out over 5 years as opposed to 3. The deal averages $50,271,667 per year. Had $150.665 million in total guarantees and $101.515 million fully guaranteed at signing. So I want to get into $50 million per year club at a minimum. You get my attention to where, hey, we got a negotiation where we're starting to trend in the right direction and getting a deal done. Once you hit the Wilson number. 50, I'm like, everything's right structurally. I could agree with that. You got to have, to me, second most overall guarantees, second most fully guaranteed at signing. Then we can maybe get something done. I'd want to be the highest paid guy, because I know that the market's probably going to change. Even if I am the highest paid guy, I may not be the highest paid guy by the time the regular season starts. Now, you are going to have to use some of Hurts's, some of the additional cap room, because there's no way to do a deal. And let's say we're talking $50 million per year. I'm going to make it 50. Let's say 50. It's structured properly. I like the cash flow. I like the guarantees. You're not going to have him on his current cap number. It's going to go up. It has to. Now, I was someone who was big on looking at how much of a percentage players got of new money after each year of the contract when I was an agent. Whether that was in the existing years or the first couple of years, helped me determine how front or back loaded the contract was. So, if you look at what happened with Wentz, he got 23.12% of his new money through the existing contract year. So before, that was through the option year. For Goff, it was 22.39%. So it'll be how much of the new money should Hurts get in his existing year. Well, based on those two, I'm just going to say 22.5%. So if you give Hurts 22.5% of his new money before the 4 extension years kick in, percentage comparable to these guys, that's basically $45 million. $45 million in new money to go with his $4.304 million. Now, if you just layered a signing bonus on top of the existing deal, because you can prorate a signing bonus for a maximum of 5 years, you got the extension year plus 4 new years, that's a $9 million cap increase. You can do it for less, though. We could do it for a $6.6 million cap increase, but what you're going to have to do in that case is, we'll say, reduce his base salary. Let's take the the $100,000 workout bonus. Let's fold that into the base salary, get rid of it. So your base is 4.3. You reduce the base salary down to 1.304 million, and by doing that, you end up with a $48 million signing bonus. So you got same cash, but you're not layering the signing bonus on top. So you got a $48 million signing bonus, and that's going to be $9.6 million in proration, but it's going to net out to a $6.6 million cap increase. So if you did that, Hurts' new cap number would be $11,389,486. That's still very low for a starting quarterback. You don't have to worry about Hurts having a huge jump in his cap number for 2024, probably 2025 as well, and that's because of the way Howie Roseman likes to structure contracts. First, I assume there are going to be a couple of avoiding dummy years tacked onto this contract as well. Howie's now preferred structure is signing bonus and 1 option bonus, maybe 2 option bonuses. The Wentz deal had 1 option bonus. Option bonuses are prorated on the cap like signing bonus. And proration starts the year the option is exercised. So you'd have proration years 2 through years 5 plus year 6 is a dummy year. Exercise an option. A fake dummy year 2028, which voids. You have to pick up that year to get the option and pay the option bonus. So you can have a low cap number because it'll probably be minimum base salary plus what's in the option bonus. Then you could have a second option bonus where you'd have a low base salary again, the option bonus which gets prorated. You'd have a to pick up a voiding dummy 2029 year, so you could prorate that over 5 years as well. First huge cap number would probably come in 2026. You'd have a low one this year, keep a low one in 2024, stay fairly low in 2025, then 2026 take a huge spike. That's kind of how I envision the structure being for this contract. As I said, I'm not doing a deal under $50 million per year if I'm Jalen Hurts, and I'd want to be the highest paid player in the league. Take that over from Aaron Rodgers. If I represented him, we'll see what actually happens. But that's what I would be looking to do. 4-year extension. Prefer 3, but no, I'd probably give up 4. I think the next situation that gets addressed is Joe Burrow's contract with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I think how this will work if they're all trying to maximize their contracts is, let's say Hurts does become the highest paid player. He's setting a floor for Joe Burrow if that's what Burrow's trying to do. And if Burrow goes ahead of Herbert and does that, then Herbert's going to build off of that. One thing I would do if I'm Hurts, before we get into in depth about Burrow, is if things aren't going right in negotiation, the numbers aren't where I want them to be, I'm waiting to see what happens with Burrow. And if Burrow does what some people think he will do, that should raise the floor for Hurts under the theory that rising tide lifts all boats. So even if you don't beat the deal, it would help break any type of impasse or stalemate there might be. Now, Burrow's got a different type of challenge in his contract, which won't happen with Hurts or Herbert, and that's because of the way the Bengals have historically structured veteran contracts. They're in what I call the dark ages. This is a team that for veteran contracts, the only guaranteed money is a signing bonus. Or they'll give you a roster bonus a couple of days after signing, which is considered guaranteed. They stick third or fifth day of the league year roster bonuses in the second and third years of the bigger deals, at least the second year, sometimes the third year of bigger deals. It's supposed to substitute for guarantees. The cash flow in some cases will be really good to make up for that as well, front loaded. But the guarantees aren't comparable or less, not comparable to deals of similar values on other teams. That's not going to fly. Keeping that is not going to fly to get a deal done with Joe Burrow. Steelers were a team which did the same thing. Same type of archaic contract guarantees. They'd made one exception throughout the years, and that was for Ben Roethlisberger. They gave him base salaries for guaranteed for injury. Couldn't become fully guaranteed, but that's how they did theirs. Then they established a new precedent, which I expect that the Bengals will have to do with Burrow if you want to get any type of deal done. With T.J. Watt in 2021, his 4-year extension that made him the league's highest paid non-quarterback had traditional salary guarantees. And in actuality, he had $80 million fully guaranteed at signing. That's signing bonus and first couple of years of base salary. That's a record for non-quarterbacks. They went from 0 to the most for a non-quarterback. Bengals have to do the same thing for Burrow to get a deal done, at least to me. That's the first hurdle he's going to have to overcome. Packers are a team which has structured contracts like these two teams. They've been making one exception for years, and that's Aaron Rodgers. He's the only guy who's had traditional guarantees in his contract. If you play another position, you're getting the contract that the Bengals currently have. That's how Jair Alexander's contract is structured, David Bakhtiari's. But it seems like the Bengals have been anticipating they're going to have to change their ways for Burrow and give him a conventional contract structure. They sold the naming rights to Paul Brown Stadium back in August to Paycor which is a Cincinnati-based company specializing in human resources software. It's a 16-year agreement, and they've also been adding other team sponsors. Now, some people have been saying, oh, he's going to get a fully guaranteed contract. Now, for what I just explained, you can't go, I don't see him going from no guarantees besides signing bonus to fully guarantees. That's a bridge too far. So this Deshaun Watson, $230 million fully guaranteed contract won't factor into the equation for Burrow either. Now, what might factor into the equation is something that caught my attention. Jamar Chase said to NFL Network a couple of weeks ago regarding Joe Burrow's deal. At the end of the day, I don't think Joe's really too worried about how much money he's going to make because he's already making a tremendous amount. It'll work out for itself. It will all work out. I think Joe knows what he wants and how he wants to set up his contract to keep some of his weapons around him. And I think that's the biggest part for him. Well, that kind of brings into play, would Joe Burrow do one of these Patrick Mahomes type deals? And there's no way that his agent, Brian Aralt, is going to go that route unless he's specifically directed by Burrow. I want to take the Mahomes blueprint and do a contract. That's not how Ron Aralt rolls at all. This is a guy that he was co-agent for Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald went through two bitter holdouts. Held out after his third year until basically the end of training camp, early September. Didn't get a contract. Did go out and win Defensive Player of the Year. Had to hold out again. They paid Todd Gurley in between that time, who just finished his third year, before they paid Aaron Donald. It was right around the beginning of September. He becomes the first $20 million per year non-quarterback. He also represents the Bosa brothers. Joey Bosa had the longest holdout for a draft pick since the Ricky Wade scale was implemented in the 2011 CBA. He missed most of training camp his rookie year trying to get the signing bonus to be paid out better than Chargers had ever done, which he did accomplish. There were some language issues about when guarantees void, and I believe initially he's trying to get no offset. So this guy is going to drive a hard bargain if left to his own devices. Now, as an agent, you work for the player, not the other way around. So it's your job to execute the client's wishes. If you're talking about maximizing income, the Mahomes way ain't the way to go. And particularly the way, if you're talking about career income, particularly the way he structured it, because, yeah, it was way too team-friendly. First, the 10-year extension, but within the 10-year extension, there's some things structurally I didn't like. But one thing you got to remember about this deal, that he threw out a number which was dramatically more than the market, thinking it might keep pace. Because at the time, the highest paid quarterback was Russell Wilson at $35 million per year. This deal averages $45 million per year. 10-year extension, 2 years left on the rookie contract, 12 years. That's 28.6% more than what the market was at the time. But it had the most what I call traditional guarantees in a contract. There's $141,481,905. That was the most ever. There's light on money guaranteed at signing, $63,081,905. It is unique in the concept from the standpoint that you have most of the money in March roster bonuses in this deal that become fully guaranteed at least a year in advance of when that contract year comes up, sometimes 2 years in advance. So be very hard to get out of this deal because you'll end up converting those roster bonuses into signing bonus to create cap room whenever you want. When I said it was backloaded, this is what I meant. That over the 2 remaining years that he had, he only got $6 million more than what he was supposed to make. The new money average in the contract doesn't hit $40 million until after the 6th new year, 2027. In terms of new money, there's basically 44% in the first 5 new years and 56% in the last 5 new years. Relative to the franchise tag, he's under that. Like if he played under one, done nothing, and played out his rookie contract, done nothing, and played on a franchise tag, he's about $4 million less than doing that. And then if he played on what the time he projected out 2 franchise tags, he's about $10.75 million less than that. So if I was going to do something like that, I'd want to borrow elements from what Josh Allen did. Josh Allen went 6 years, which was longer than what you'd expect, but he took that roster bonus concept but got the cash flow more like it should be in a traditional contract. What he did was, for his 6-year extension, got $300,000 more than where Mahomes was. That's how he got to $43 million. He kept the cap numbers low initially, but didn't get a lot of cash relative to the existing years, but it's much better than that $6 million. It's like almost 40.5 of new money through his existing 2 years of his contract when he signed, because he did after 3 years as well as a first-round pick. But just, I'd have to have my cash flow more like this. Mahomes did 10, and Allen did 6. So if I got a client who's dead set on this, and I got to do it, I'd go 8. And what I said earlier about executing your client's wishes, I guarantee you Don Yee, who represented Tom Brady, was not the brainchild behind Tom Brady taking hometown discounts after he signed that one deal in 2010, which made him the highest paid player in the league at $18 million. Subsequent deals, hometown discount. That wasn't Don Yee. That was driven by Brady. So you're executing your client's wishes, and I wanted it. If I got to do 8, then we're going to have to throw that thing out there on the average, kind of like Mahomes did. He was, I said, 28.6% more. Given that we know the cap's going to explode, I need at least probably 30. So I got to be percent above where the market is now to try to keep pace, and you're still not, most likely, which would mean $65 million per year. If we're going to go this concept, it's got to be $65 million per year. That's just to start with. And I'm going to need a mechanism in the contract where the salaries escalate based on performance. What I mean by that is I want some sort of salary escalator where, starting for the first new year, which would be in 2025, that salary in every subsequent year escalates based on ranking the top 5 in certain statistical categories: passer rating, passing yards, completion percentage, touchdown passes, some amount for that, Pro Bowl, first team All-Pro, MVP, Super Bowl MVP, winning the Super Bowl. Then you have to have that, and not the escalator where if you did what you did in the previous year escalates for that upcoming year. I want it to be a pyramiding escalator, and that would be what I did the first year goes to 2025 and every other year after that. I keep doing it again. It goes to every other year. If I do it in 2026, if I did it in 2025, Then it would go to 2026, 27, 28, and so forth. Did it in 2026, goes to 2027, 28, and so forth. So that escalator could add up. And I don't want it added to the base salary. I want it to be added into the roster bonus and also the amount to be guaranteed if I'm going to go this route to try to do what my client wants. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to do this deal at $52.5 million. To do an 8-year extension at $52.5. You got to throw it way out there like Mahomes did if you were going to go that route. Now, if Brian Harrod is left to his own devices, can pretty much do what he wants to do, then he's got a case, highest paid player in the league easily. And I say that because that's what the Bengals did with Carson Palmer at the end of 2005. Which was near the end of his third regular season. You could extend rookie contracts back then after 2 years. Maybe the highest paid player in the league at $16,166,167 per year. He was coming off of a season where he was in the midst of ending a season. A breakout season for him. Led the league in completion percentage, 67.8%. Had 32 touchdown passes. Also led the league. Second highest passer rating, 101.2. And snapped a playoff drought for the Bengals, which had gone back to 1990, and they won the NFC North with an 11-5 record. Now, Burrow has legitimately put himself in the best quarterback conversation. I don't think anyone's going to pick someone besides Patrick Mahomes after what recently transpired. But Burrow, 2021, led the league in completion percentage, 70.4, 4,611 yards, 34 touchdowns, 108.3 passer rating. Bengals ended the 31-year postseason drought, got to the Super Bowl and lost to the Rams. This year, comparable year. Now, Bengals, before Joe Burrow, had 5 playoff wins in their 52 seasons as a franchise. Since Joe Burrow, 5 playoff wins in 2 years. So, got to treat him. If it's a conventional deal, not this Mahomes type thing, there's no deal to be made which does not make Joe Burrow the highest paid player in the league. Now, it's not going to be the fully guaranteed contract, but it's got to be minimum $15.5 million per year. To me, if it's going to be this type of deal, maybe higher, $15.5 million per year minimum is where you get. And I'd want to do 4. I'd still want to do 4. So he probably goes second. Then we got Justin Herbert is the last guy. Just someone that I think if you're going to redraft the quarterbacks, these 3, it would go Burrow, Herbert, then Hurts is probably the order they would be drafted still. GM Tom Telesco said, I obviously want him here for a long time. Justin Herbert has the record for the most passing yards through the first 3 years in NFL career with 14,089, and it's thrown the second most touchdown passes with 94. They've had 1 playoff appearance in his 3 years and no playoff wins. So if you go last, you're probably going to be the highest paid out of the 3. But really, Burrow has the more accomplished resume. His resume, I'd put him on par with Hurts. Now, one thing I'm looking at for Herbert, and he's under contract for 2 years. You've got the 5th-year option for $29.504 million. Same for Burrow. But his cash this year is $4,234,375 and a cap number of $8,456,876. Whereas, which I didn't talk about Burrow, he's got a cap number of $11,515,043. Cash of $5,595,018. Burrow over the 2 years has $35,049,018 left, whereas Herbert's 2 remaining years, 2023 and 2024, $33,798,375. Now, that being said, I want you to treat me the way you treated Joey Bosa. And what the Chargers did with Joey Bosa in 2020 is they made him the highest paid non-quarterback. So whatever you made him the highest paid non-quarterback, you need to make me the highest paid quarterback. He got an 8% increase on what the market was. Myles Garrett was the highest paid guy. Dink was barely drawing the contract. $25 million per year. Became the first $25 million per year non-quarterback. Bosa signs for $27 million per year. 8% increase. I want an 8% increase on what the market is at the time I sign. Whether that's Aaron Rodgers or Joe Burrow. And to put that into context, let's say the market doesn't move and it's still Aaron Rodgers, just the highest paid guy. Then you're talking basically $54.25 million per year. Now, if Burrow gets that $52.5 million number I threw out, I'm going to use that as the frame of reference. And we're talking 8% increase. We're talking 56, basically 56.7. I want you to treat me like him. If I'm doing an extension, if I'm doing I'd want to do a 4, but Bosa signed for 5. If I had to give up 5 years, I could probably be persuaded. But he's got a very player-friendly contract, so I would want that contract to also be as player-friendly structurally as the one that you gave Bosa. And it's very easy, or not easy, but it's easier to hold or use what a team has done for another player against them in your own situation. So that's what I expect David Dunn of Athletes First to do with Herbert. And Dunn also did the Aaron Rodgers deal. He's Rodgers' agent as well. Now, if you look at what they've done for their previous quarterback, they did a 6-year extension first time for Phillip Rivers, then a 4-year extension the second time. So I don't know if you get the 4, it may have to be the 5, but if so, the Bosa deal would be right on point for him. But in summary, Hurts, I'm not doing a deal below $50 million per year. That's my magic number. Should be the highest paid player, at least briefly. Joe Burrow, if I'm left to my own devices, highest paid player, conventional guarantees, 4-year extension, want to do $52.5 million per year. If he wants me to go the Mahomes route, it's got to be better cash flow than Mahomes. Can't be as backloaded. I got to blow it out there over the existing market the same way he did. So I'm talking $65 million per year. Justin Herbert, I think will go last, as I just said. 8% increase over what the market is, just like he did for Joey Bosa in 2020. Become the highest paid non-quarterback. Well, that's going to be this week's Inside the Cap. Don't forget you can find me on Twitter at Corey Joel. That's CORRYJOEL. You can also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agents Take on NFL salary cap and contract matters as well. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you back here next time, and goodbye.